According to Santa Clara University, an article written by Manuel Vasquez, Claire Andre, Thomas Shanks, S.J., and Michael J. Meyer, ethical relativism can be defined as the theory that holds the morality is relative to the norms of one's culture. Basically, that is stating that something that may consider morally right or wrong in one culture compared to another. Ethical relativism does not have a universal standard because cultures differ. During the 1960s and 70s era, it is believed that the ethical relativism was correlated with postmodernism. This was a movement that examined the idea of objectivity in many areas, which includes ethics. Research would show that most of this belief came from the post-Enlightenment era or the invention of modernism. Most philosophers and scientists wondered if there is an unchanging universal object that governs religion, politics, science, ethics with the help of human research. Eventually, the truth will be uncovered. Their result will lead to one science, one religion, one politic, and one ethic that will govern people. However, this isn't so. There was a philosopher who eventually became the most influential of all modern thinks debates to critique of culture, which led to the ethics of relativism. This influential philosopher that we are talking about is a German philosopher by the name of Friedrich Nietzsche, who was born in 1844 to the 1900. It is believed that him and his followers believe that persons' beliefs is grounded on a perspective that is neither correct or incorrect. Relativism comes in. Nietzsche provides a theory of diversity by stating those who accept the Judeo-Christian ethical system, a person who, in his perception, is called slave morality, suffers from weak and fearful personalities. On the other hand, a person who is perceived stronger will reject this ethic and create their own. This does not mean that they were correct or incorrect, but eventually, as time goes on, the world will change and we will all be correct in our own way.
Good day, Nia Lightborn. So, ethical importance and central focus. Ethical relativism reminds us that different societies have different moral beliefs and that our beliefs are deeply influenced by culture. It also encourages us to explore the reasons underlying beliefs that differ from our own while challenging us to examine our reasons for our beliefs and values we hold. So, different groups of people ought to have different ethical standards for evaluating acts as right or wrong. These different beliefs are true in their respective societies. And these different beliefs are also not instances of a basic moral principle. So, ethical relativism has several important insights, and those would be, I would say, the need for tolerance and understanding, the fact of moral diversity. We should not pass judgment on practices in other cultures when we don't understand them. Also, sometimes reasonable people may differ on what's morally acceptable.
Hello, my name is Carrie's Branch. Let's discuss the central question and what matters as it relates to ethical relativism. Since the central focus of ethical relativism is the idea that ethical judgments are true or false relative to certain standpoints, then the central question becomes where do we draw the line between social and cultural norms and it is considered done right, wrong, or lawful? If we were to relate everything to ethical relativism, then cannibalism, child labor, and cults would not be illegal. What seems to be important or what seems to matter most in ethical relativism is that people are able to express their individuality, culture, and beliefs freely without being judged or ridiculed by others. However, in some cases, the expression of culture, the expression of social norm or generational practices is harmful to other members of society who do not believe in the same thing. Take into consideration slavery. Though one set of people believed that it was okay to own slaves, those slaves were harmed during that time. In the case of polygamy, in the case of child labor, other people are being harmed while we are respecting the culture of certain types of people, saying that it's ethical relativism.
Hello. Okay, hi. My name is Rudolph Ferguson. My portion of this project is based on the criticism and relevance of ethical relativism. Before we go into my topic or my section of this project, let's delve into some things that you should know already, but think of it more of like a reiteration of facts, right? Um, the one thing we'll be doing before we get to the meat of this section is just to define what ethical relativism is. Ethical relativism is summed up to be the theory that individuals' morality or ethics stems directly from their culture, right? That's really all you need to know. So let's get into it. Like I said, my topic for this section is the criticism and relevance of ethical relativism. So, nowadays, people who believe in ethical relativism are believed to be people who guess give into radical doctrinations, right, or whatever, like radical doctrines. Um. Anyway, so it is preached in contradiction to what many, I guess, ethical individuals believe, which is, one of my sources, the Britannica. They believe that the theory of ethical relativism promotes like the idea or doctrine that there is only one moral principle or belief that is inherently correct within any society or grouping of people, right? And the problem with that is that it denies any one individuality in terms of their ethics. So people who claim like following this belief, people can made the point that slavery or you know abuse towards women was accept is okay and is right because of the societal standard of that time. Um, According to some of my other sources, as well as Britannica, Stanford and Unwrapped.org, we'll get more into that. They all basically give in the same information. They all speak about how ethical relativism doesn't play a role in modern day society and it shouldn't play a role in modern day society, mainly because it just opens the gateway to more. They what they say specifically is that it opens up more problems in the world, but I believe if you delve a little deeper into that definition, it opens up to more people having the idea that, much like how in the Middle East, that they believe their one belief is correct, it opens up people to believe like in that way. Um, society, as it makes the assumption that just because it is acceptable, you it is correct. And from my standpoint, I believe that it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be relevant anymore. Much like how my sources, I agree with them. I agree that we should no longer, you know, do certain things like hate. You can disagree with people, but not hate them. I believe that just because one group is hated by a vast majority of people or by a vast majority of society doesn't make it correct. It doesn't make it any better. So yeah, that's just my standpoint on it, and that is really in all just my portion of this. So thank you.
The greatest benefit to a majority of the people qualified to be ethically correct. In this regard, it does not matter the action taken to the greatest benefit to a majority of the people qualified to be ethically correct. In this regard, it does not matter the action taken to fulfill the benefits of the majority. This theory does not give accounts to what society holds as moral principle. Its concern is the people that will be impacted by the action taken. If killing a thief, for instance, is the desire of the community for them to live in peace, then the killing is considered ethically correct. Utilitarianism is the opposite of ethical relativism that emphasizes on the norms of a culture. The two theories may have some disadvantages and advantages based on their principles. The two theories may have some disadvantages and advantages based on their principles. For utilitarianism, it can yield the most devastating results if it is adopted by the whole society. For instance, cases of a mob injustice and lynching may be in the rise if the majority of people think that killing a criminal is the best thing to do. But ethical relativism, it may not yield the best results because it allows society to follow their norms in deciding what is ethically wrong or right. That is the reason why there are discrepancies on how countries develop laws to rule citizens. For example, some countries have the death penalty while others do not. With ethical relativism, it is impossible to have universal ethical actions. The theory that we're going to look at is the deontological theory or deontology. Okay, so this theory can be argued to be more successful than ethical relativism. It states that it is indispensable for people to adhere to their obligations when undertaking decisions when undertaking decisions making in regards to ethics. In other words, upholding one's obligation towards other people or society is what is ethically correct. For example, deontologists will not fail their friends when they promise them something. They will always keep it. If it comes to following the law, such persons will follow it and avoid breaking it at all costs. It is difficult to find deontologists inconsistent with what is expected of them. In society, following and obeying the law could be the easiest way of having a just society with little problems. However, this theory has a flaw of inability to have a logical basis for defining an individual ethics. For example, a teacher may decide that it is his duty to arrive to school on time. It is a good thing to be on time, but it is not clear why the teacher chose to make it his duty. So the reason behind the duty may have some negative elements to it. For instance, if the teacher is running out of time and is getting late for school, he may drive recklessly and at a high speed because it is his duty to be on time. And in such a situation, the teacher breaks his duty to society to obey the law of not overspeeding and reckless driving. This theory tends to have more convincing principles that can make it successful if all the actions are done within the confines of one's obligation to others and society. For instance, to avoid the above scenario of overspeeding and reckless driving, the teacher may have another duty to always wake up early to fulfill the duty of not getting to school late. If all actions are geared towards fulfilling the duty, then it is possible to have the theory as the most successful one. Okay, so in summary, there is no doubt that ethical relativism is a good theory that addresses some of the ethical issues facing society today. However, it is the same principles applied in it that make society unjust to some point. For instance, countries have different laws that have dire consequences to some foreigners if they move to those countries that have different laws from those of their motherland. Accepting that societies can define their ethical actions or behaviors based on their norms may end up failing to what is universally considered ethical actions. Conversely, utilitarianism may sound a bit convincing that an action is ethically right if the majority of the people benefit from it, regardless of whether the act in itself is wrong. However, deontological theory has the potential of becoming more successful than ethical relativism because it simply lets people do the right thing by being obligated to other people and the society. Uh, yeah, so this ends. Yeah, so they were some of the theories that may be considered successful and the reasons why they may be considered successful.